Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Amen. Please be seated. Now on this snowy day in early March, looking forward to the sun of spring, what does it take to join a softball team? What does it take? A softball, maybe a glove, yeah, some cleats, a hat. What's that? A sense of future, a sense of hope. It also requires that we know where to stand in the field or in the batter's box. It requires that we know positions, that we know rules, that 3 strikes and you're out, or 4 balls and you get to walk to first base, or trot, as most people do. There's a set of rules that surround what it means so that one can play softball. On the other hand, when I was a kid, I was an actor, and I took many acting classes, and I really enjoyed being in the plays. It was one of my favorite things to do next to softball that I also played. And one of the exercises that the director would have us do was called the machine. And it was an improvisational activity that there were no rules. There were no fast and hard lines. It was, well, improv. And it was called the machine. And the director would say, okay, everybody on the sides of the stage, and today you're going to be, and she'd think about this, and she'd say, a watch, a wristwatch. And then she'd call the name of somebody. And that person had to run out to the middle of the stage and start being a watch. So Barbara would be called up. I'm not calling you up, Barbara. And she would start going, tick, 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 tick. And then the next kid would be called up. And he would come up and go, in,
Oh, sure.
And together, 15 kids who had never been a watch became a watch. They all started to focus on one thing without worrying about all the rest. Jumping into John in the 3rd chapter is difficult. It's really difficult, in fact, especially when there's just this little few verses of this gospel lesson. Because John, it can be really off-putting for some. As though there's a line, as though there's a barrier, as though there's a wall, can't jump over or can't figure out how to play the game. And for others, it's awesome. Jump right in and love it, and you keep going forward. But to get it, you gotta look at the whole story, right? How can we figure this out? Now, Nicodemus was a leader of the Jews, and he came to Jesus by night. He was wearing his clothes and his robes, but he was covered his face so that no one knew who he was, because there were some lines that those whom he knew, the leaders in what's called the Sanhedrin, didn't like Jesus. They wanted nothing to do with Jesus. They wanted absolutely to let Jesus go on his way. Well, we know what happens at the end of the story. still was excited to figure out what was going on. And then you get this conversation about light and darkness, in and out, right and wrong, and all this confusing stuff. So if we don't hear that who Jesus is talking to, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And Nicodemus didn't get it. Nicodemus didn't understand Jesus at all. Nicodemus had this box that everybody had to either fit inside or outside. He knew what it meant to be in. He knew what it meant to be out. And there was no way to cross those lines. But Jesus said, no. Jesus said, there is actually a center. There is actually a point to go towards, and that journey is into me. It is that simple, in fact, Jesus said. It is a straight but open line into God. Now, organized religion can be, well, stifling at times. And I, as a gift, or, well, I won't say curse, but a challenge of my life these days is not just the gift of being a priest, but being on what's called the standing committee. And at the center of what I have been elected to do by our diocese is to uphold the rules and the laws, the canons, and the boundaries of the church. And I'll tell you, sometimes that's difficult. Sometimes it's easy to feel contained, to be confined, to not be on a journey with God. On another expression of the faith, there are this group of people that the researchers of religion in America call them the nuns. Not N-U-N-S, N-O-N-E-S, okay, nuns. And they define themselves as spiritual but not religious. They define their life not by the walls of organized religion, not in the ways of which we just may live from time to time, but on a different path. On a way towards something that doesn't always include boundaries, lines, walls, separation, but in fact invites something else. It could be actually a walk along the long trail, or it could be plain and simply sitting in the woods without moving very far. The nuns are no less spiritual than the church may seek to be. They just see it in a different way. Nicodemus was the church. Nicodemus tried to keep people in and tried to keep people out. Jesus, one could almost say, was a first century nun. Breaking through lines, challenging every authority, going on a journey and on a path and in a way that the world didn't understand. So what does it mean to be church? I ask myself that question every day because my life depends on it in many ways. But what does it mean to follow Jesus? I ask myself that question too every day. And at times, more often than I want to admit, they run counter to one another. How